Very thankful for y'all being here, and thank you guys for doing what you do and participating tonight. I'm not going to stand up here too long because it is a youth-led service, so this is maybe more so to extend an invitation for you. But, before we get that, I think it's important to point out that there is a lot of quality in the folks here at Wood Avenue. There's a lot of personalities. There's a lot of differences in us, but there's a lot of quality in each and every person that is represented here. And everybody brings in some bit of it to help this body that is meeting here at Wood Avenue. And I'd even venture to say that you bring a part that is able to work in the Shoals area, something that you can do that you bring to the table that you're able to use within our area as well. So thank you for all of you and what you do. But you didn't just get to that point by happen chance. Maybe it was things that you learned from parents. Maybe it was things you learned from a certain teacher when you're a kid, whatever it might be. But it all starts at this age, even younger. Some of the kids sitting with their parents in the pews. It starts so early on. And so I would have to say that we've got kids of quality, which means we've got parents of quality, which means they were parented by people of quality, which we have mentors and members and people here who have quality characteristics about them. And I am so very thankful for that. Very, very glad to have that. One such quality that I think I love most about our youth is that if I've asked them to do something, it's very, very rare that I ever hear them say no. They are willing to do so. They get up there with excitement and wanting to do so. And sometimes it seems like it's just something that's old hat for them, but they have grown that comfortable in it. And then as they continue in it, it's only something that's going to help them in what they do. Taryn was very eager, very, very eager to be here tonight. And he was very much looking forward to presenting a lesson tonight for all of you. And so even when they can't physically do so, there is still a great quality in the disappointment he feels not being able to be here. That says a lot about someone. That says a lot about a person when they see the need and they rise to the occasion, but when there is a very unforeseen circumstance, they are grieved to it almost. And so Taryn would have loved to have been here, and I know he'll be ready next go around. But I'm always constantly impressed with our youth and what they're doing. So that word quality, as you can think, might be something that I want to hit on tonight. And I want to start with the idea of quality teaching. Because when I think about Wood Avenue and the people that are members here and the people that worship here, whether you're in the college group and you've come from a different home congregation, or you've grown up in this area, or maybe you and your spouse have moved to the area, or you just know Florence or Wood Avenue from the day you were born. All these things that present to you an idea of where you come from being brought together, and teaching is so very important. From the nursery age all the way up to the oldest here, we are presently teaching quality here at Wood Avenue Church of Christ. In Bible classes, in the pulpit, devotionals, we are all people who are learning and hearing and teaching quality in those things. And why is it that we have that quality amongst us? Is because we don't just rely on maybe opinion. It is the Word of God that brings us the idea of what is right, what is wrong. It is the circumstance that has us being able to come together under one banner of Christ, under one thought, a common bond in Him. And so His Word that He has presented to us, the words that brings us salvation, is something that we use as quality. Acts chapter 2, verses 42 through 47 presents us the early church. And the early church and what they did, and so much of it was good things, but have you noticed that there was a lot of words there about teaching and learning and hearing? Acts chapter 2, verse 42, and they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and the fellowship and the breaking of bread and prayers, and all came upon every soul. Many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles, and all who believed were together and had all things in common. And they were selling their possession and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. Any, day by day, attending in the temple together and breaking bread in their homes, they received their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having favor with all people. And the Lord added to their number day by day those who are being saved. It's not an uncommon verse for you to have heard before, but I like here how it starts with verse 42. It starts with the apostles teaching and the fellowship of those people and what they did together. Because once you have the teaching behind you, once you've got that, you can do a lot of other things in how we as a church grow and how we come together. It starts with solid teaching. It starts with that common bond. And from that moment, you see the good things that we say that we want to imitate that the early church did. And I'd even venture to say, and I think maybe Ricky's mentioned this from the pulpit, when they're breaking bread in someone's homes, how do you not talk about what's important around you? And if the Bible and spiritual life that you have in this walk is so important for you, I hope that you're talking about that in your home with your family, but also when you have others over. So we see this idea here of quality teaching, and that's something that we need to continue here at Wood Avenue. Quality teaching from people in his church. We also have a quality assurance. The benefit of course is a heavenly promise, but I want us to look at James chapter 1 verse 12 because it might elaborate a little bit more on what we need to consider here when it comes to a quality assurance. So we know heaven is possible. We know it is there. But James chapter 1 verse 12, blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him. When we consider our responsibility in being faithful, we have to think about Jesus and what he did and his ability to remain faithful even to the point of death, even in taking on sins in this world. When I was told that Taryn wouldn't be able to be here yesterday afternoon, I started putting some thoughts together, and in my research, it's funny that I kept going back to 2 Timothy chapter 4 and chapter 2 and parts of there, and so maybe this lesson goes right along with what Ricky's been teaching us this month about how the church is a quality group of people, but we have that common idea of an assurance, and we like to often say I hope and I wish and stuff, but a lot of times it's just wishful thinking. When we talk about a hope of heaven, it is our assurance. It is a fact. It is without a doubt that we know that it is possible for us. So when we consider our relationship in this church, it has to be with Jesus in mind, and quality assurance of that is a life faithful to him and getting to heaven. That's the greatest proof that we're doing what we're supposed to when we hear that message, enter into the gates, you good and faithful servant. So we think about that, and then it brings me to our last thought here is quality Christians. Quality Christians, because we can have people around us that want to be godly. They can be righteous in some ways, but if it's not God-centered, if it's not in the church, if it's not in his word, it's absent of so many other things that God wants us to do. Quality gives us substance as a person. Quality gives us matter when it becomes matter when it falls to individuals. Quality is desirable. Quality is something that we should seek. One of the greatest things I think Brian Gisselbach had told me is when we get up in this pulpit or when we teach a Bible class or when we're out in this world, we need to do everything that we can as excellent as we possibly can. Because when we're bringing the words of life to people, when we're bringing the words of salvation to folks as Jesus would have us do, we should do it as best as we possibly can. Trying not to leave anything out. Directing them exactly to where they need to be in this Bible. And in those situations, you have the questions come, the tough questions, and you may be afraid that first Bible study, but how many times will you fight against it before you start realizing that it is something that I need to do? It is something that I have to do if I'm going to help people. In your spiritual resume, it should not be something that's going to be empty. And I'm not saying make a tally mark every time you do something good on the wall. I'm not saying put a notch in your belt for every soul that you help lead to Christ. What I'm saying is you need to be someone that God sees that you're doing what you're supposed to. When you turn in that paper, even if you don't have to fill it out, he knows exactly what you've done in your life when it comes to your spiritual resume. James chapter 2, verse 18 might just be one page over from where you just were in chapter 1, but James 2, verse 18 tells us, "But someone will say, 'You have faith, and I have works. Show me your faith apart from your works, and I will show you my faith by my works.'" As time goes on, God is looking that we are able to add to our own spiritual resume, that we are working hard in doing so. Parents, you want your kids to have quality friends. Well, why not start right here in the church, in Bible classes, with the people that are here that are trying to be quality people? Students, you should seek people that care and want good things for you and not going to tear you down or try to lead you into doing something that's wrong. But folks will do that. And the world will try to only bring us down in so many of those ways. So when it comes to it, we need to make sure that we are doing what we're supposed to and trying to be quality people with the people around us as well. Luke chapter 6, verse 38 tells us, "Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For with the measure you use it, will it be measured back to you." It's kind of that golden rule, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. But in our good works and the good that we do, it is something that can be measured back to you. And the greatest good that we can receive is that eternal promise. We all have good qualities within us, and we are, after all, beautifully and wonderfully made in his eyes. He's knitted us together. He has done these things so much so and prepared us in a way that we are ready for heaven. But heaven is not just for us. It's for us to help others become what they need to be as well. That is quality Christians in God's kingdom. The quality God seeks starts within the church. It is extended out to the world if they so choose, and it is put into action by faithful individuals. If the church was ever to be extinguished, I think it would have to be a great and probably significant movement or attack against the Christians. But even then, such was not so in the early church. And then when you read through much of the New Testament, it was during the time of a emperor who would put them to death and would hang them on crosses upside down. And yet we get to come and sit comfortably in a pew and do what we do on a weekly basis. Maybe it's those Christians who've paid the price so that we can be where we are today. Maybe it's people in our lives who've done certain things that allow us to understand that this is important for us. We can't give it up. You have to be the quality person that God needs you to be because we as individuals need to go to heaven. And God is seeking that all should do so and not perish. So we're thankful that we have this opportunity. And this is the opportunity to present an invitation where you can change your life around, where you can become more of a quality person in God's eyes. Or maybe you've not been quite on par with what you're supposed to be doing, and you know the Bible tells you to do this. It's just been a tough situation getting back to where you want to be. Everything is possible with Jesus on our side. Everything is possible when you have the church helping you out. We ask that you'd come as we stand and sing this song of invitation.